So she was spamming the meteors here. Finally, she missed one because she went for it again. And Hazuki took over. She hit a lung blower. She landed a top rope senton for a near fall. Again, she transitioned quickly into a crossface, and Mercedes was able to escape. So Hazuki spiked Mercedes with a spinning DDT, and then a brainbuster. And Mercedes very wisely rolled out of the ring to prevent the pin attempt. So the time that it then took Hazuki to get her back into the ring gave Mercedes a chance to go for a lung blower that led to a whole bunch of back and forth pin attempts. Mercedes, she wrenched Hazuki down to the mat very violently into a statement maker. Hazuki was able to roll into a pin attempt, though. Mercedes hit a backstabber, but Hazuki slid through a Monet maker into another near fall. Back and forth, these two women were going. Finally, Mercedes got another backstabber. Statement maker replied, and Hazuki tried her best to hang on and fight out of it, but ultimately she was forced to tap out. And Mercedes Monet, to the surprise of no one, I'm sure, is going to the finals of the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament in just a couple of weeks. This is my second favorite match of either tournament so far. After the Will Ospreay Mark Davis match that closed Dynamite a couple of weeks ago, this right here, this is number 2. I just thought this was tremendous stuff here from these two. They got a lot of time. Again, the same as the opening Texas match. 22 minutes, somewhere in that range. Mercedes generally, she'll get what she wants. I remember, was it Statlander? It might have been Statlander or World's End a couple of years ago. They got like 25 minutes, and they said that that was the longest women's match in AEW history. It's not surprising to me that it was a Mercedes Moné match, because I'm sure she goes to Tony Khan and says, "Look, this is how much time, that I want, or this is how much time that we need." Tony gives it to her. Because she goes out there, when you give her time, especially with the right person, she goes out there, she has these killer matches. And so this was no different. They had plenty of time. It started slow. It built. It was very impressive that the people were able to get behind, Hazuki as much as they were able to, because again, I'm sure many of them had no idea. It's what it is. Or maybe they've heard the name, but they're not really super familiar with the work. I know some of the sickos are. But she had the crowd, won over here in this match. And they just worked well together. They just gel well together. But the outcome here was never in doubt.
Baseball is back, and BetMGM, official partner of Major League Baseball, is bringing the heat all season long. Step up to the plate all season with Swing for the Fences, the free-to-play game where every swing could score you rewards. We're talking parlay boost tokens, odds boost tokens, same-game parlay boosts, and even bonus spins, all season long. And the action doesn't stop there. Get more out of every at-bat with MLB same-game parlay boosts. Stack your bigs and boost your potential payout. Plus, lock in bigger value with MLB odds boost tokens and MLB parlay boost tokens all season long. More boosts, more swings, more chances to win. Download the BetMGM app and step up to the plate today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Promotional offers may vary by market. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards may vary. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, 877-8-HOPE-NY. Or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
This is Dan Beyer from Fox Sports Radio. It's Toyota Truck Month. Time for a truck that works as hard as you. Tacoma, Tundra, built for the job and ready for the trail. Available with four-wheel drive and connected tech, all backed by legendary Toyota reliability. Visit your local Toyota dealer for great financing and lease options available to qualified customers. Or visit buyatoyota.com to find your truck month deal today. Toyota, let's go places.
So now we look ahead. And on Collision this coming weekend, it's going to be Athena on the other side of the bracket wrestling Maya World. Maya World had a nice story last week, as sad as it was. brother passed away. She was not supposed to be in that match, but Sari was not medically cleared. She had brought her tag team partner along with her from Japan. She was going to sort of pinch hit for her, but Tony Khan made the decision to go with Maya World. She went out there with Sky Blue. They had a very good match last week. And Maya World pulled off the big upset win. So she gets to go at least one more round deeper into the tournament. But her tournament run should come to an end this weekend. I mean, I'm glad that she's getting the opportunity to go out there. I think they're in Texas. And Mercedes is, or not Mercedes, but Athena is from Texas. Maya is from Texas. Should be a good match, but the only match I want to see at Forbidden Door, it is not Maya World against Mercedes Bonet. It is Athena against Mercedes. We got it one time on Dynamite over a year ago. It was very good. And now you put them in the ring on a pay-per-view in a tournament final, and you probably give it at least 20 minutes. They're going to have a fucking kick-ass match. And yeah, I'll save the Forbidden Door predictions for later on. I would not make any assumptions that Mercedes has this under lock and key. I don't see it that way. I think it could very easily, there is a scenario in which it could very easily swing the other way. But that is the match that I want to see on that pay-per-view. The other match I want to see on that pay-per-view is the men's Owen Hart final. We got those two men in the next segment here. Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. If that match I just talked about wasn't the best thing on the show, it would be just this was. But these two segments back-to-back were the best parts of Dynamite today. Tony Schiavone is in the ring. He welcomes Will Ospreay out. And he congratulates him on getting married because this past week, Ospreay got married to Alex Windsor. Now, they never mentioned her by name, even though they've shown them together on screen. But yes, they are now officially married, husband and wife. And Ospreay said that he was supposed to be on his honeymoon, but his wife said, "Look, we can go to Hawaii whenever we want to. Right now, you need to go chase your dream." So he said that he took her upstairs, and he smashed the life out of her, and then he told her to clean yourself up because he's got to go to Houston. See, now there's a visual I did not need. That's a visual that wasn't needed for yours truly. That led to Schiavone introducing Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana, who came to the ring. Nana basically kicked Schiavone out. And Swerve said it's been almost a year since he even spoke with Ospreay. No texts, no calls. And he said that he doesn't like what he's seen. He's changed. Ospreay said nothing about him has changed except his hair, while something about Swerve has changed, the way he's looking at him. So, do we need to have a chat about something? Swerve said we do. Everything we fought for last year against the Death Riders. Only now I see you every single week here at these arenas playing Booty Boot Camp backstage with John Moxley. Ospreay never even gave a reason why. Yes, bro. Better than Jelly Roll and Kit Wilson's mom. Well, that is for damn sure. That's another visual I didn't need. Fucking Jelly Roll and his. You remember? I can't bring this up. What did he talk about in his slam poetry? The rolls of fat that he would drape over. Oh, God, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna fucking cry. Yeah, I'll take almost anything over that reply. Actually, curse you for reminding me. Bruv. Thank you, bruv. I wish this was the Wembley World Title match. This would be a hell of a match to do in the main event of Wembley. You are correct. Ospreay said, look, I haven't forgotten and I haven't forgiven what the Death Riders did to me, but he realized he had to let it go for the time being. And he said it's working. His neck feels great. But speaking of the night that they snapped his neck, Ospreay said he saw Kenny Omega. He saw the Ops. He saw Darby Allin trying to climb into the cage to help him. And then he made a crack about, Darby's able to climb to the top of Mount Everest, but he can't climb a cage. I made that very point in my review last year, how fucking ridiculous it was that nobody could climb over this cage to help Will Ospreay from getting to neck snapped. So here he is poking fun at the exact same thing. It was ridiculous. At least they have a sense of humor about it. But the one person he did not see attempting to help, no Swerve Strickland. Swerve was nowhere to be found. Where were you? But he understands Swerve tore his knee out towards meniscus. They took the Young Bucks out of power last year at All In Texas, and he said that he needed help to get the championship off of Jon Moxley and onto Hangman Adam Page. Strickland didn't help him. Will ended up in a hospital that night. He saw the footage, and then Swerve came out to help. Will said that when you're his brother, he expects you're going to run through a brick wall for him. That's what he would do for the other person as well. And he says, "Where were you?" Swerve goes to speak. Ospreay just smacks the mic right out of his hand. And he says, on second thought, I don't want to hear it. He says Swerve is looking for redemption, but this is his dream, bruv. This is my dream, bruv. He worked outside of Wembley Stadium at various jobs when he was 15 years old. The kids said that it would be their dream to keep winning gold at the World Cup. Now Ospreay is one step closer to kicking that game-winning goal at Wembley Stadium. He doesn't know if Strickland looks at him as a brother or an enemy, but he knows that Strickland would not hesitate to end with him, so Ospreay will not hesitate to Swerve. So Swerve grabs the mic. He says he's, not at the end well first. Swerve had to stand in this ring and listen to Ospreay say it wasn't his time, it was Hangman's time. And he sat back and he listened, and he got the championship away from Jon Moxley. Got the championship onto Swerve, or onto Hangman. But where's Hangman now? He said, hell, Hangman can't even challenge for the world title anymore. So all of your hard work was for nothing. So now you expect Swerve to just step aside so that you can take my spot. Fuck that. And they censored the audio. But I can read lips. Just like Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu on Monday night. I can read lips. I know what he said. So Strickland said that he had veterans push him around when he was younger, and he had to sit at home for 6 weeks when he was the AEW World Champion because weak-ass egos got in the way. Wonder what that's about. But he throws Molotov cocktails into the system and enjoys it. Every time they step in this ring, they raise the bar. One thing is for certain. He says that he will be victorious over Ospreay, as he has been unable to beat Swerve for the last 10 years. And when Strickland mows over Ospreay and he wins the world title at Wembley, maybe Will could challenge for it, and Swerve can beat him again and again and again. This Will Ospreay is not better than him on Swerve's worst day, his fragile ass neck. And that was just one crack too far for Ospreay. He punched Swerve in the mouth, knocked him down on his ass. Prince Nana handed Swerve a chain. And he was going to use it until the Death Riders came out. And Moxley, Garcia, Marina Shafir, Pac, they all surround the ring. And Swerve said to Ospreay, he said, you're right. You really have changed. And he walked up the ramp. And he took his leave. Ospreay left with the Death Riders through the crowd. Daniel Garcia looked to be upset with Ospreay, I guess that he didn't put a bigger beat down maybe on Swerve. And actually, in the back after this, Garcia was berating Ospreay. He was asking, what are you going to do about, you calling me fragile? So Ospreay slammed Garcia up against the wall, Moxley wall. He asked Ospreay, do you feel like you're in control? And he says he doesn't. Moxley said, it's only words. They use words when they have nothing else to use. He said, you're this close. Don't lose control. Don't lose focus. So at that point, Ospreay let go of Garcia. I thought this was a very strong promo. I really enjoyed this. Again, outside of the visual of Will Ospreay going around and smashing like he's Bruce Banner. But I like the promo. I like the callbacks to the story last year, where Swerve and Ospreay they were trying to help Hangman win the championship away from Jon Moxley so that he could be the savior of the company. We have to work together. We have to band together. Even with the bad blood that Swerve and Hangman had in their past. have to help this man win the world title. We have to take that championship out of that briefcase, take that title away from the Death Riders. So I like them calling back to that. I like Ospreay calling back to the fact that Swerve, never showed up. He was one of the people that actually didn't show up to try to rescue him before he got his neck broken in London last year. So there's a lot of history here. The mention of their first match, the fact that Will has not been able to beat Swerve. I mean, the fact that Swerve beat him 2 years ago at this very pay-per-view. And that was a very different situation back then because at that point it was babyface. Swerve was very early in his world title run. They were trying to give him some credibility. And now here we are, 2 years later, it's a tournament final. The winner is going to the main event of Wembley. Swerve has been there. Ospreay is not. And we all know how this story ends, right? The story, at the very least, it ends with him punching his ticket to Wembley and being in the main event. It can't go any other way. Everything is being built around this. This entire story is building to Will Ospreay getting into the main event in his own country.
Hey, it's Cavino and Rich Davis from Cavino and Rich. For 2026, Toyota is the best resale value brand according to Kelly Blue Book. It's Tacoma, Tundra, and 4Runner named the top 3 for resale value among all vehicles by KBB. And with special financing available in your local Toyota dealer, you can enjoy affordability today, while great resale value can mean thousands more in your pocket when it's time to sell or trade in. Shop Toyota.com to find out more. Vehicles projected resale value is specific to the 2026 model year. For more information, visit KellyBlueBooksKBB.com. Toyota, let's go places.
At Giant, when budgets are tight, we keep our communities knit even tighter with every way to save on all the meals you crave all year long.
These targets are gonna go.
All the stuff with the Death Riders, I'm still expecting there to be a match. Maybe there won't be, but I'm still expecting there to be a match between Moxley and Ospreay. It's like, this is your final test. That could be a redemption. Not for the Continental title. The Continental title has nothing to do with any of this. But just to get them in the ring together so that Will can get that win over Ospreay. Now, or over Moxley. The only reason maybe they wouldn't is if Ospreay is going to win the championship at Wembley. Maybe they want to set up a program post-pay-per-view coming out of Wembley where they work together for the world title. They don't want to give it away now. That's possible, right? Because he's going to need people to work with, other than maybe Swerve and MJF. And Moxley may well be one of those people. They could be playing the long game here, where it's like, all right, at some point you see we're going to wrestle for that world championship. But I really like this. I thought this was, in terms of giving us something to, I think, get you more invested or excited or interested in one of the matches on that pay-per-view. To me, anyway, they haven't done a great job with most of the other matches. This is the sort of thing that you want, right? To get people hot for a match. I thought they did well. I thought they succeeded in what they were trying to do. And then we had the main event. I told you we didn't have a lot of matches on this show. That's why they were so damn long. We had Team MJF, which was MJF, Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, Jake Doyle, and Andrade El Idolo. Say that 10 times fast. Against Team Briscoe. But who would be on Team Briscoe? Now, before I tell you, MJF came out, his leg heavily wrapped, his knee, his thigh, heavily wrapped up. This is after he hyperextended his knee in that match 2 weeks ago against Bush. So whether it was for added effect or his leg is still that fucked up, that's the story that they want to tell going on. Tensions over on commentary. So the heels had already entered. And then up on the big screen, we see Briscoe.
That was fucked up.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Dang.
But he says, we got 2 Parkers here, in addition to the 3 that you see here. Actually, the 4, I'm sorry. 4 of them. Number one, friend of theirs, the reigning international champion, somebody who can't wait to get his hands on Kyle Fletcher and Okada, Konosuke Takeshi. So he walks in. And he walks in and he says that, what do you say about Fletcher? I think he said that with Fletcher, I want you, or I want a piece of you, but then Okada is out. I think that's what it is. The final member of the team is going to be the man who really can't wait to get his hands on Kevin Knight, even more than MJF, and that is the former AEW World Champion, Darby Allin. Yeah, Darby comes in and says, you know, I've heard that shit about the glass ceiling my entire life, and we're going to go out there, we're going to beat their asses tonight, we're going to beat their asses again at Forbidden Door so that Briscoe gets his shot at the AEW World title. And so we got a match here. Jake Doyle actually got more shine than any other single person in the entire match. The announcers even brought up how dominant he was being. Late in the match, Doyle was holding Darby. They were on stage. They worked their way over to the stage where the announcers were. And they have Darby. Kevin Knight is there as well. He's throwing some body shots, giving shots at him. Doyle and Knight then toss Darby off the stage, off the ramp. Darby hits the ring post on the way down, and it spins his body as he crashes down to the floor. Kind of put a little something extra on that bump there. So that took care of him. We didn't see Darby again after that. In the ring, Briscoe hit MJF with a J Driller, dropped him right on his head. Don Callis got up on the apron and distracted the referee before he could count the ball. And so Briscoe dragged MJF over towards the corner. He went to the ropes. He was going to go set up for Rocky Bow. Yeah, Roderick, that's a good point. That's kind of what I was alluding to before. It could be that Moxley is going to want a shot at the championship as a favor for all the help that he has been providing to Will Ospreay. So they may want to save that match for after all the. But anyway, so Briscoe drags MJF towards the corner. He's going to go for Froggy Bow. Fletcher, though, trips him. Roddy tagged in. Strong set MJF up for something. MJF, though, he wrenched the arm and he applied the salt of the earth and he got the submission. MJF did something. After the match, the heels worked over the baby faces. MJF put the Dynamite down the ring on his finger. He wanted Andrade to hold Briscoe. Andrade didn't like this. He didn't like being ordered around. And so he argued with MJF and he gave him a shot. Don Callis intervened. Finally, Andrade held Briscoe, and MJF hit him in the head with the diamond ring. With all the baby faces splattered about, the heels celebrated victorious, and that is how the show went off. The match was pretty much we got some good wrestling here, but it was mostly trying to tell the story. There was some dissension there as the match progressed with the Callis family members who do not like MJF. They do not want to help him. They do not want to team with him. It didn't matter in the end. He'll still get the win. Kind of a wild match. It's going to be wilder on the pay-per-view because you're putting him in the cage. Now, in the past, AEW cage as you think like that, I guess 12 of these guys in one cage. It's not even blood and guts when you have two rings. But from my memory, they use a pretty big cage, so I'm sure it's not going to be an issue. You're still taking 12 guys and putting them at the end of the day. It's going to be a clusterfuck. And in a cage match, there's no rules. So, people are going to bleed, there's going to be weapons. Let's take a look at what they did last year. That was lights out, I think. This is not. But it's going to be the same. Okay. It's going to be. So this was a tamer version of what we are going to get on the pay-per-view on the 20th. It was fine. It was not the best match of the show. It was not my favorite match of the show, but it was fine. A lot of big names in there as far as this roster is concerned. And the heels getting the win, I mean, come on, you had to see that coming from a mile away because it's going to swing the other way at Forbidden Door. The only way this ends with Briscoe's team getting the win. So that way he can get his championship match and they can hopefully just do it on Dynamite. At some point in July, they have these themed episodes of Dynamite. You do it on Dynamite, you get it out of the way. The thing I will say that I at least like that trying to do here. Look at the people who are in this, who are in the match tonight, who are in the match for Forbidden Door. It isn't just like a random collection of people. I mean, Jake Doyle being in there, but it isn't really just a random collection of people. You do have different stories, at least, that are progressing as part of this one match. MJF and Briscoe. MJF is also not well liked by Kyle Fletcher. He's not well liked by Andrade. He's not well liked by Kevin Knight. Right? So you got that element, especially the Andrade element. You have that element going on. Is that going to cause issues between members of the Gallus family? Is Andrade going to, be in Kevin Knight's club? You don't know. Andrade feels like he's already got one foot out the door anyway. He's going to be a babyface soon. But then you got Takeshita, who doesn't like Fletcher, but he also doesn't like Okada. So you got that going on. You got Darby Allin. He hates Kevin Knight, but he also hates MJF. So there's a lot of that going on, at least, which I like. I'm still just not a fan of lumping, again, everybody together and running back multi-man cage match. I really hope this does not become the new annual thing that they do on these shows. But if MJF's knee is not yet 100% and they don't trust him enough, or they don't want to risk it, put him in a singles match, I don't know if we would have gotten this match regardless. My gut tells me no, that you would have just done the title match at Forbidden Door. Just do it there. Just blow it off there. And if you want to take some of these other guys and do some sort of match or trios match, I mean, you could always do that. Because I think the direction for, I guess it could be Redemption. But if not Redemption, then Wembley would be Darby challenging Kevin Knight, right? You would think, for the TNT Championship. Takeshita and Fletcher. Again, that feels to me like a Wembley match. But you got this Redemption pay-per-view coming up on the 26th of July. First time they've ever had one of those. I'm expecting MJF and Kenny Omega in the main event on that show. I don't see how it could be anything else. I think you got to do the Briscoe match on TV. That main event at Redemption has to be Omega and MJF. They dropped too many hints for it not to be. Anything else would be a disappointment.
This is Jonas Knox from Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, and for 2026, Toyota is the best resale value brand according to Kelly Blue Book, with the Tacoma, Tundra, and 4Runner named the top 3 for resale value above all vehicles by KBB. And with special financing available at your local Toyota dealer, you can enjoy affordability today, while great resale value can mean thousands more in your pocket when it's time to sell or trade in. Shop Toyota.com to find out more. Vehicles projected resale value is specific to the 2026 model year. For more information, visit Kelly Blue Book's KBB.com. Toyota, let's go places.
At Giant, when budgets are tight, we keep our communities knit even tighter with every way to save on all the meals you crave all year long. Giant, this is home.
So there you go. I really liked a couple of the matches on this show. And again, if you did not see the promo with Ospreay and Swerve, I would go out of your way to go take a look at that. Outside of that, pretty average episode of Dynamite. Basically what you would have expected. Take a look at the wheel goal was 550 for those who joined late. And we are currently at 358. Admirable efforts. It does not look like we are going to be doing any Be the Booker tonight, so unfortunately, Be the Booker will have to wait until at least Monday. But I will not be here on Friday for SmackDown. I will be in Chicago for House of Glory. Blitzfan says today marked 8 years since Alexa Bliss's last world title win. Well, if anybody in the chat would know that, it would be you. You never fail to disappoint me. Joseph Stewart, you never failed to disappoint me either. Always showing love. Also big into the anniversaries, I see. I hope you enjoyed your time at the theater. I'm going to be at the theater tomorrow. I'm going to be going to the movies tomorrow. Joseph with a pair of $10 super chats. Says, I have an idea. What if Dominic Mysterio wins Money in the Bank? Oba Femi wins the world title from Roman at SummerSlam, with Dom cashing in on Oba at the end of the match and becomes the new world champion. Joseph, I think that would be terrible. I think that would be absolutely god-awful. And I very much hope that doesn't happen. But I say I know Joseph is a big, dirty Dom guy. I get it. It's like Blitzfan is a big Alexa Bliss guy. I get it. It's a terrible idea. Does Oba Femi wins the Royal Rumble, challenges Dominic for the world title at WrestleMania, then and Oba beats Dom to become the new world champion? What are your thoughts on this idea? And Joseph, I love you, brother, but that is terrible. I think that would be a terrible idea. I mean, there's being a fan of someone, and then there's just whatever that is supposed to be. If they made a movie about Undertaker and Kane's characters, which actor is he playing, Undertaker or Kane? I don't know. Who would be big enough to make the Undertaker role work? It would have to be somebody who's close to 7 feet tall. I mean, you can always put lips in someone's boots, but the lips will only, lift you so much. You gotta have a big guy in that role. I don't know. I don't know of any actors that would be able to, size-wise, pull that off that I care enough to see in that role, like good actors. Do you think WCW 2000 is more watchable than what Triple H is doing in WWE right now? No. I think WWE right now is barely watchable, and I think WCW 2000 for the most part was just a pile of dog shit. And I actively avoid it whenever I see they've uploaded content from that era on the WCW Vault channel. I actively go out of my way not to watch it. It was dog shit then, it's still dog shit today. Is Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade 97 the biggest match in WCW history? I don't see how it is. Despite how it turned out, the answer is yes. The only other thing that comes close that I can think of is Hogan Goldberg at the Georgia Dome. That would be the closest thing, but Sting and Hogan were built up for a year and a half. So the answer is Sting and Hogan. Top 5 biggest feuds in WCW history. Sting and Flair. Sting and Vader. Hogan Sting. To me, those are like the first 3 that I think of. I don't know if you want to go maybe Dusty and Flair. I mean, at that point, it kind of gets a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit harder at that point. But for me, again, Sting Hogan, Sting Flair, Sting Vader, Sting being the common denominator, in case you couldn't tell. That's why they called him the franchise of WCW. He was the guy. Yao Ming as the Undertaker. Can Yao Ming act? So you're going to cast Yao Ming as a ginger from Texas. That's a bold choice. What are your thoughts on Mike Myers saying that Austin Powers 4 is going to happen? I hope not. I'm not a big Austin Powers guy. I enjoyed the first movie. I'm pretty sure I saw the second one, didn't see the third. Don't care to see the fourth. Spanish Goddess is with us. This has been the most lackluster booking for a Forbidden Door. I don't get why they didn't target more CMLL talent for this since they are in San Jose, a Hispanic market. Disappointed for this upcoming pay-per-view. Yeah, I mentioned CMLL before and the lack of CMLL representation of the show. I'm starting to wonder if there's visa issues going on. Supposedly there's visa issues affecting WWE right now. And so I'm wondering if this is affecting AEW, because I agree. Well, where's the CMLL representation? Right, all the logos are on there. They've been working more with CMLL talents than New Japan talent for most of the year. And yet they're not represented on this paper. To me, that just, it's a little odd to me. It makes me wonder if they're having visa issues. Maybe that's why we haven't seen Hechicera. Certainly wasn't there tonight. Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I really hope this is the last year they do the big door concept as a paper, because I only have 2 promotion matches announced for the show. When the show is next week. Sad. Yeah, I mean, it just feels very thrown together. And it's not the first time it's felt that way. It kind of happens every year. But it feels more noticeable this year. So I don't disagree. Bobbert Reviews, again, that $30 Mento Super Chat. I shall give you another air horn. No message, just showing some love. Love that Super Chat. Spanish Scottish, I can't believe I bought tickets for this lackluster for... Oh, so you're going to the big one? Well, no wonder it's upset. Now it makes sense why you're so upset. You spent money on tickets, but you're still going to get a great wrestling show. But I agree, you have every right to do it. You're not wrong. It is very lackluster. We have JB Ham. Solo, tell me you haven't also been chasing the high of Dynamite from 2 weeks ago. I almost felt guilty watching it instead of that episode. Is that the episode that I thought was really good? Yeah, I mean, that was a really good episode. They followed it up with one that was not. And then we had this week's episode, which was somewhere in the middle. GMB, is it true that the Mets season ends when the Major League Baseball season starts? According to Family Guy, the answer is yes. That is correct. As soon as you hear the crap in the back, and the season's over. The Pats' #1 fan, thoughts on when Brett won the U.S. title in 2000? Yeah, he did miss for it. I just remember as soon as he won, he was all excited and he went to go climb the ropes and he slipped. But Natty was there and she kind of caught him. I thought that was kind of funny. But it was a nice moment for Brett to put a belt on him, and it was just a ceremonial thing. Basically, gave it up after that. I didn't care to see Brett in the ring during that run. I hope it was cleansing for his soul, at least, that he got something out of it. Instead of Montreal being the last time that he was ever in the ring for them, I guess that was kind of cool, but this was not the same Bret Hart. You know, in a way, I almost hated seeing him like that. But if he was out there having fun, and it didn't last for too long, you know, but he was able to get back in the ring, and again, there were rules against people hitting him in the head. There were things that he was obviously limited in what he could do. I just, you know, I was a fan of seeing him back. I just wasn't a fan of seeing him back in the ring, outside of maybe a couple of matches. I mean, when he was in there with against the Nexus, he was part of like a big 10-man tag. I mean, that's fun. I mean, I just wasn't really a fan of that run. This week's episode is sponsored by Wix. So you've got a little online storefront where you sell stuff. That's awesome. Nothing better than being a business owner or working for yourself. But you better make damn sure the user experience on your website is to keep people coming back for you. That's why it's so important to have a website that people want to bookmark and continue to visit. This is where Wix's Harmony editor comes to the rescue. Wix Harmony is an AI website builder that allows you to pick the site up quickly while making sure that it stays true to your vision of what you want it to be. And it meets all of your needs. The AI component is the difference maker here, but it's not the only component. It's not the only way for you to build your site. You still have the ability to edit manually and create the look and feel that you want. Ari is your personal AI agent, is there to help answer your questions and help get important stuff done. Click anywhere on your site and ask her to make changes instead of entering prompt after prompt. And before you know it, you'll have a site up that you can be proud of. Join the more than 280 million businesses around the world that already use Wix and try Wix Harmony right now to see for yourself at Wix.com/harmony. That's Wix.com/harmony. DJ Slim, could heel Andre against babyface Brad work as old school attractions versus the new generation wrestling? Would Brett give Andre the best match of his career? No. I mean, you're talking about Andre at the tail end of his career when he could barely move. Like, he wasn't mobile. He couldn't move. Nobody was giving Andre a great match at that point in his career. I don't care if it's dude. It could have been Ziggler in there bumping his ass off. It could be Will Ospreay in there. But 96 Shawn Michaels in there. Okay, you could Kenta Kobashi. Pick your poison. There's nothing you can do with that.
Oh, come on!
No one was going to get a great match out of him.
Damn, these motherfuckers spawn right out that fucking door and shit.
Leo, honest question.
Damn!
Am I delusional? Thinking that Kiana James is going to
Fuck,
be
man, how many motherfuckers is
I
it?
don't think you're going to come.
Spawn right out that damn door I was hiding it.
But
Fuck!
notice Kiana and Roxanne Perez are booked pretty similarly in terms of their wins and losses. Really? I mean, I haven't noticed anything. I've noticed Roxanne hasn't won a match on TV since December. I noticed that. But I think the potential for Kiana to be a world champion on either show it's not something that's going to happen this year. But I do think the potential is there for her down the road. A lot of it depends on her development. And there's no house shows, so she's not working that much, and that's a negative. That's a bad thing. She's at a point in her career right now where she needs to be in the ring multiple times a week, and I don't just mean at the PC. You know, that's very different than being in front of a live audience on the road. She and a lot of these other women, a lot of these other wrestlers are just they're not getting that. And so it's kind of like trial by fire on TV. The problem is she's barely in the ring on TV. How are you supposed to improve and get better if you're not getting that ring time in front of a live crowd? That is the drawback of scaling back so much on the live events. There has to be a happy medium there. So I think it's going to take a while, but I don't think you're crazy for thinking that. Anyway, thank you guys. We came very close to 400 likes, but the wheel had other plans for us tonight. The wheel said 550. If you don't like it, tough shit. And that just wasn't.
Damn.
So
Fuck.
we will try again next time. On Friday, I will be in Chicago, calling House of Glory, big Inferno event coming up in Logan Square Auditorium. That's a big match on that show, possibly the next TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, Nick Nesbitt is going to be challenging the HOG World Championship.
Oh, come
Charles
on.
Mason, Ricky Sosa. We finally got him.
Motherfuckers on this one
He's coming in to
motherfucker.
make his
Shit.
debut. He's going to be taking out the Amazing Red. Shotzi and Steph Delander. I mean, it's a bunch of great matches. Mustafa Ali defending the TNA International title on a House of Glory show against Rich Swann. And of course, Ali is from Chicago, so he's going to be the hometown favorite. It's going to be a fun night.
All my shots, all my money on
HOGWrestling.net.
this one
Tickets, I don't know how many are even left, but go
All
check
my
and see
shots,
if there
one
are any
motherfucker.
left. It's going to be a lot of fun. If not, you can watch it on Triller TV, but I will not be here for SmackDown. So I will see you for the Sound Off, episode 968, which is coming up. Hey, Brian Garcia, welcome to the channel. Welcome, brother. You can go back and watch the review from the beginning and all the other content. I hope you enjoy your stay. But yeah, the next time I'm live here will be Monday night. For the World Post Show, we'll try again. That's all we can do with Be the Booker. We'll try again and see if we hit the goal. Joseph is back. Just when I thought he was gone, he came back. Look at this. I'm back, Solomon, sir. I have a question. Why didn't Sting go back to Surfer Sting in late '99 like Hogan went back to the red and yellow? It's a fair question, because at that point, see, when I think of Surfer Sting, I think of the flat top. And the flat top was not coming back. And he was still kind of Surfer Sting for a while when he grew his hair out, like in '95. I did the Sting gimmick. Why would you change from that, right? That he was one of the coolest characters of the entire company. Whether it was the black and white Crow, whether it was the black and red Wolfpack, I think it would have been foolish for him to change and go back to it. Hogan was going to build the red and yellow as long as he could. You know, he would get away from it, then go back to it. So that doesn't surprise me. But, nobody at that point really collaborated for the return of Surfer Sting. Because this version of Sting was cool. You know, why would you change away from it?
that far back.
Also, was Sting a bigger draw than Goldberg? No, as peak Goldberg, as white hot as he was, he had a shorter run than Sting did. I highly doubt Sting was a bigger draw than Goldberg. But Joseph, thank you. Thank you for the final question. Yes, Ricky, thank you for bringing that up. So I mentioned Raw. Next Monday. Raw is airing earlier again. They're in London. They're in London. Before AEW was in London in August. WWE is in London. And so that's going to be a 2 p.m. Eastern start for Raw. So be aware of that because I'm pretty sure I'm going to do what I did last time, which is go live right after. So Raw goes, 2 p.m. to 4:30-ish, probably 5 o'clock. Next Monday, we'll do an early stream. If you want to join live, be here early. I think after that, we're back to normal. I think the schedule basically is back to normal after that. I could be wrong, but I think the international tour is basically over.
Yeah, and took the bodies of guns.
So, thank you for reminding me.
Oh,
Anyway, be well.
Fucking
Stay safe.
Shit.
Thank you for hanging out with me here on a Wednesday night. Keep supporting all the content. Go check out all the rest of the content from this week. Go check out the Uncrowned Wrestling show that dropped yesterday on the Ariel Helwani show feed and the Uncrowned Wrestling show feed. I got some really cool feedback from some people who had never heard of the Soundbook. They never heard of me before. This was their first exposure to me. And now they say they're hooked. Their favorite podcast. They're going to tune in every week. I love it. Love it. If you missed it, go check out the Uncrowned Wrestling show. Congrats to England on your big World Cup win earlier today against Croatia. That's all. I don't know where things are right now with Uzbekistan and Colombia. Colombia's doing well. I have been to Colombia. I've never been to Uzbekistan. Don't think I ever will. But I have been to Colombia. I left a piece of myself in Colombia, if you remember that story. Anyway, enjoy the World Cup, and I'll see you back here on the channel very soon. And this weekend for a brand new sound. Until then. Hey, it's Lunchbox from the Bobby Bo Show. You know what nobody brags about? They never brag about their car's resale value. 2 years later, when it proves you made the right call. And Toyota's making that choice easier than ever. For the 6th year in a row, Toyota was named the best resale value brand by Kelly Blue Book with Camry, Tacoma, and 4Runner all earning Best in Class. Because when you buy a vehicle that's built to last, you drive away with value you can count on. Shop Toyota.com to learn more. Vehicles projected resale value and best resale value awards are specific to the 2026 model year. For more information, visit KellyBlueBooksKBB.com. Toyota, let's go places.
From Capitol Hill to Giant is winning the love and play, collect rewards and more that work online or in store. To make savings all year long. Giant, this is home.
You never know where your next unforgettable experience will pop up. That's why bringing along an American Express card opens the door to rewards wherever you go. Morning coffee run with an old friend? Earn cash back. Weekend getaway, earn miles. Dinner at the hottest restaurant in town? You get the idea. No matter the place or the plan, Amex rewards your inner explorer. Learn about card options at AmericanExpress.com. Terms apply.
Another gun.
town has a dark side. In 1991, a young man threw himself through a closed window to escape a killer. He went straight to the police, gave them the name, and told them plainly, this guy's going to kill someone. A conviction followed, and then 3 years later, the killer walked out of prison and went back to his bad ways, only this time he did something worse than most people can even imagine. 8 years after that warning came, on a cold December night, an 18-year-old boy named Barry Wallace got right into the killer's car. And this is the devastating story of what happened out there. But really, it's a tale of what happened, and the system is told exactly what it's dealing with. It decides to look the other way anyway.
No goddamn bullet.
Hey guys, it's Andrew. Welcome back to Every Town. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have a story that will be frustrating, disgusting, angry, probably all the above, actually. In the States, you've likely never heard about it at all. Let's get into it. Head on over to Scotland now. This is Limbs in the Law, the murder of Barry Wallace.
That's what I need. Right there. Shot nowhere. 9 shots, I'm good.
To really understand what happened to Barry that night, we first have to go back a bit. Back before Scotland, before the night everything went wrong. He was the man responsible who would appear out of thin air. He became history, a long one at that. And that history is where this story actually starts. William Beggs was born in Lurgan, Northern Ireland. His dad taught at a college, and his mom ran a school, so solid, respectable people. The type of family that gets invited to events and gatherings all over town, and nobody ever has a bad word to say about them. And he grew up in Mora, a small village in County Down that had a Baptist church on Sundays, Quaker school during the week. He played the organ at those services, and sat right up front in full view of the congregation, proudly in his part. And as Biggs got older, he got into politics, or at least he made sure people thought he did. This was Northern Ireland in the late 1970s, and a preacher turned politician named Paisley launched a campaign called Save Ulster from Sodomy. Yes, that's its actual name. See, Paisley wanted to stop the British government from decriminalizing homosexuality in Ireland, when they already had it even in Wales a decade earlier. It was a full-blown religious and political crusade. Newspaper ads everywhere, street demonstrations, pamphlets, the works. They collected 70,000 signatures. The whole thing was loud and competitive. And if you asked anyone in that community about their politics, Beggs was right there, proud and set up, but you know how he felt. He was a vocal supporter of the campaign from start to finish, publicly and performatively opposed to homosexuality at every opportunity. He wanted everyone he came across to know exactly where he stood, which, if he was doing in private, all that more calculated. Because by night, well, Beggs was nothing short of a sexual predator whose target was the gay man.
Nah, you missed.
The contradiction was total and deliberate. That public face he put on was a shield of building since adolescence, brick by brick. The higher he was about it in public, the safer he felt. His first known act of violence was as a teenager, cutting another boy with a knife and a kid in the traffic. He went nowhere, just sort of got absorbed.
Ran out of fucking bullets.
Go like that. People who brush
Damn.
aside rarely
Ran out
understand
of
what
bullets.
they've just let walk until it's too late. Eventually, he was forced out of Northern Ireland entirely. Precise circumstances aren't fully documented, but accounts suggest that a parliamentary groups had become aware of what he was doing in his downtime, which made his continued presence in the community impossible. So, he moved to England. New place, but same man. And he was educated, articulate, and he knew exactly how to present himself. He'd been practicing that for years. He settled into a new life east of England, and for a while,
was enough to keep the mask on. And then in 1987, though, that mask came off. The remains of a young man were found in Cleveland Forest in the North Yorkshire moors. His name was Barry Oldham, 28 years old, student from Bolton. His throat had been cut, and attempts had been made to dismember his body. Within a month, William Beggs had been arrested for that. He had met Barry at Rock Shots, Newcastle's busiest gay nightclub at the time. At his trial in December of '87, Beggs claimed self-defense. He said Oldham had attacked him during a camping trip and he acted to protect himself. It was a good try, but it didn't work. So William was convicted of murder and then sentenced to life in prison. Except that life in prison is not what he got, not even close. Just 18 months later, June of '89, Beggs walked right on out as a free man once again. His conviction then overturned on appeal, not because new evidence emerged or because there were any doubts about what he had done, but because of a procedural error. The trial judge had allowed the jury to hear evidence of other wounding charges alongside the murder charge. The Court of Appeal ruled the prejudicial effect to be too great. The original judge later said publicly he believed he had directed the jury correctly. The Court of Appeal disagreed, though, and they won. So, that was it. Not even 2 years is all he served for murder. And the detective who led that investigation actually said afterward that when they caught Beggs, they were convinced they had caught a serial killer in the making. They got lucky that this was only his first. And now, that killer was out amongst the people once again. The predator then packed his bags for a fresh start and moved on over to Kilmarnock, Scotland. Beggs arrived in his new town, having lied about his criminal record on his CV so he could secure a job as a housing officer with the local council. He bought a flat, a salary, and once again had a respectable surface to present to a world that did not know his past. In July of '91, Beggs went to Bennett's, a popular nightclub in Glasgow. That's where he met 28-year-old Brian McKillen. The two of them ended up talking outside after they both helped to break up a fight. The two guys doing the right thing on a night out. After that, Beggs invited Brian back to his flat, and once there, offered him a drink. Well, Brian then woke up 6 hours later in a bed inside a room that he'd never seen before. Lying beside him was Beggs. He had been drugged. He slipped something without knowing it, without consenting to any of what had clearly happened while he was unconscious. Before he could get out of that place, well, Beggs came at him with a razor. What followed from there was a fight for his life. Brian was slashed multiple times across the chest and face, and only survived by doing something most people could make themselves do. He threw himself through a closed window, glass and all, and then he ran. He went straight to the police, told them something that should have changed the path of this entire story. He said it plainly, on the record, that this man will kill someone. Despite being right about that, nobody listened to him at the time. But once again, Beggs found himself in that familiar court setting. This time, he was convicted of assault, permanent disfigurement, and danger to life. And for that, he received 6 years. Somehow, once again, Beggs wormed his way out early again. In the end, he only served 3. Released in 1995, he went back to that same flat, Dean Place, Kilmarnock. Once again, Beggs did what Beggs did. He rebuilt. He had shown himself to be extraordinarily good at this, absorbing consequence, emerging somewhere new. Same composed face, fresh set of credentials, new people who didn't know his name. And by 1999,
38 years old. Beggs was working at a call center, studying for a doctorate.